Ukraine's 105th Separate Territorial Defense Brigade has reported that its soldiers have destroyed an elite Russian Special Forces group from the Senezh Center, which had been conducting raids in the Kharkiv and Sumy oblasts. The battle resulted in the elimination of the group's commander and at least 6 Russian operatives. The Senezh unit is one of Russia's most secretive and dangerous special operations formations. Its operatives were involved in operations in Syria, directing airstrikes, training Assad's troops, and conducting sabotage missions behind enemy lines, Euromaidan Press media outlet says. According to a Ukrainian intelligence source, Senezh follows a brutal blood ritual. Each graduate must bring back a kill from a raid in Ukraine, as per Suspilne. If they fail to kill a soldier, they murder a civilian instead. According to Ukrainian troops, a unit of the 3rd Directorate of the Senezh Special Purpose Center, which trains operatives for Russia's Special Operations Forces, crossed from Belgorod Oblast into Ukraine to carry out criminal raids against civilians and military personnel. But the incursion quickly met a harsh response. Fighters of the 105th Territorial Defense Brigade crushed the enemy group and eliminated its commander, the brigade reported. In 2014, Senezh commandos acted in Crimea as the so-called Little Green Men, paving the way for the peninsula's annexation. There are also indications that they participated in combat in Donbass in 2014 to 2015. One such civilian victim was Viktor Tupitsia, a resident of the border village Kostoborova, whose car was shot up by Russians on the 10th of January 2024 between Hremyachka and Leonivka, Euromaidan Press says. Ukrainian forces confirmed through radio intercepts that the enemy suffered 6 killed and 8 wounded. A few days later, 6 new graves appeared inside their training center in Russia after a closed burial, the brigade reported. The destroyed Spetsnaz operatives were identified by their call signs Teacher, Group Commander, Jambul, Varus, Griga, Voron, Harley, Filin, Amen, Fakir, Haka, Henry and Krust, Euromaidan Press says. Recall Russia's Spetsnaz are certainly no exception, although apparently they are not necessarily quite as dedicated to overt displays of machismo as the VDV, for whom any open day seems incomplete without paratroopers breaking wooden beams with their heads or throwing a sharpened sapyoka, the Russians' distinctive short-handled entrenching tool, while leaping through a ring of fire. The evolution of Russia's special forces has been shaped by an emphasis on mass war and the primacy of strategy coming from the top of the system over individual prowess by the men at the base. Their name is a contraction of Specjalnoye Naznaczenia, of special designation or of special purpose. The main role of the Spetsnaz is as scouts and saboteurs, though deployment for battlefield reconnaissance and also behind-the-lines operations against enemy chains of command and lines of supply, and in particular, NATO tactical nuclear weapons. Russian sources close to the military have reported with an urgent notice that the submarine Novorossiysk suffered 10 incidents while on duty, including a fuel leak directly into the hold, navigational problems, and a periscope failure. The Novorossiysk is now heading to Kronstadt, where the crew will be replaced and a decision will be made on whether the vessel can be saved. NATO is openly laughing. The Russian fleet has become a museum of Soviet junk. The boat may be afloat, but it can't perform combat missions. Any engineer will tell you it's junk, said a Vichik OGPU insider. According to British analyst H.I. Sutton, The submarine is returning to the Baltic Sea in a surfaced position, meaning it is effectively incapable of submerging. Sutton noted that this accident is a clear example of the profound deterioration of the Russian Navy. Since the start of the war, Russia has lost the ability to move its submarines between the Black and Mediterranean seas and has also lost support in the ports of Cyprus and Syria. Now, to undergo repairs or rotation, submarines are forced to sail 4,000 kilometers to the Baltic. The Novorossiysk's breakdown has become a symbol of the disintegration of Russian naval power. The Kremlin can no longer even threaten, only fix its toys. Sutton writes in Naval News, the icing on the cake was NATO's response. The Swedish military announced that it had detected and was pursuing a Russian Kilo-class submarine in the Baltic Sea. According to the Swedish Navy, the submarine entered through the Great Belt Strait and is now moving through the Kattegat under the observation of its Navy and Air Force. This submarine, observers note, is most likely the Novorossiysk, recently spotted off the coast of France. It's a paradox. A submarine that was supposed to remain invisible has now become the most photographed in Europe. Western journalists joke. The submarine, which Moscow once called a threat to NATO, has now become a symbol of the technical and moral decay of the Russian military. Leaks, malfunctions, towing and panic. This is the real face of the world's second army. The Novorossiysk was meant to be a show of Russian strength, but instead it has become a floating reminder of how far the country has fallen from a once formidable navy to a floating disgrace. Russia's Black Sea Fleet dismissed those reports as false, saying in a statement carried by state news agencies that the Novorossiysk had no malfunctions and surfaced in the English Channel in accordance with international sailing protocols while turning from a planned deployment into the Mediterranean. The Novorossiysk, which joined the Black Sea Fleet in 2024 after entering service a decade earlier, is an updated version of the Kilo-class diesel-electric submarine and is equipped with Caliber cruise missiles. It is quieter than most of Russia's nuclear-powered submarines and is designed primarily for operations in shallow waters near home ports.